Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Review of Honor, where we are covering everything that happens in a Ring of Honor ring. Now, guys, this is our first episode of the new year. Ring of Honor is starting to, really get into the swing of things as they make their comeback. But from what I think, or what I've gathered from this episode, is that they are still working on getting our next series of tapings. And what they did for us, because they are still working on that, is pulling up some matches from the archives, but not even archives that we knew existed. These are matches that, as we find out during the course of the episode, were taped back when the pandemic first started, and they didn't really know what was going on. There was talent that was flying in to Sam's Town at Las Vegas to do a series of tapings, and while some people were in flight, they were getting emails telling them that the tapings had to be canceled. And because of that, some talent still arrived, and Ring of Honor gave them the option. They said, if you want to wrestle, compete, and we will have these matches saved in the tuck for moments exactly like this. But guys, I can't talk about all of the matches that we're going to see tonight, and all of the things that we're going to be able to talk about, just the news that happened with Ring of Honor this week, without my tag team partner when it comes to Review of Honor. I don't know if this is going to happen every single week, guys, but definitely for this 1 week only, we are 100% matching, because not only are we both wearing glasses, I don't think even he realized it, but he's wearing a Young Bucks shirt and I'm wearing a Young Bucks shirt
I did not
as well.
notice that.
So, as it so happens, this is a true tag team moment. True tag team moment in Review of Honor history, guys. This is the three-time baby making champ. This is Ness. Ness, tell the people how you're doing tonight.
I'm doing mighty fine. How are you, sir?
Can't complain. Can't complain.
Yeah, man. I want to say this is a great episode, not only for the action, but just getting everybody's view on how they had to deal with the pandemic. It's been crazy for us, regular folk. So when it comes to, these athletes and, these guys that are on TV every week, we forget that they're human at the end of the day too. So these are situations that, affect them just like they affect us. And I appreciate this episode just for that. It just shows how human they are, and just like everything, and bringing them back down to earth is just like, we deal with a lot and they deal with a lot as well. And it definitely showed. And props to Ring of Honor, how they handled everything from, the situations with all the talent and the pandemic, and just making sure that all their roster and their people on their payroll are taken care of, because at the end of the day, you want to look out for your own. That's as you should. So that was a great job on their part, and just getting to understand how everybody was dealing with everything. It just put everything in a different light for me in this episode. So I appreciated it just for that aspect of it.
Agreed completely. It was a level of transparency that was kind of eye-opening to see some of the behind-the-scenes things of how Ring of Honor work. You had talent speaking rather frankly about their situations and all the different things that had happened to them. One of the things that was kind of funny to me was Mark Briscoe talking about how he and his wife, when they flew in to Vegas, Jay Briscoe's hitting him up and telling him, hey, these things got canceled. We got to figure out what to do. And Mark and his wife were wondering whether or not they got to get home, because he's like, we have 6 kids, and they corrects himself. Well, we had 5 at the time, but we now, and then, it's just a baby making champ such as yourself would know, when you are in a pandemic, things like this happen when you're in close quarters. But Mark Briscoe finding just even despite the fact that he's telling us some difficulty that he went through, just finding that moment of levity to be like, we got 6 kids. Well, we had 5 at the time.
Yeah.
We didn't know 6 was on the way, but we had 5 at the time. But yeah, this was definitely a level of transparency that also I think this week is important to talk about when it comes to Ring of Honor, because we have some really huge news that came out this week, and that was that Ring of Honor officially parted ways with the villain Marty Scurll. Now, some months ago they had removed him from the roster page. And some months prior to that, when the allegations first came out during the speaking out movement of things that happened with Marty, he was in line to become the head booker of Ring of Honor. He was in line to really be the driving force behind creative and behind change for the company. And then these allegations hit with him allegedly, well, not allegedly, it is true. He did have he was intimate with a 16-year-old girl. Now, when this was happening in England, it is important to note, and this is the lawyer in me saying that the age of consent laws in England are 16. But that's where things get a little fuzzy, because Marty fully believes that the act was consensual. The young lady in question has stated that it was not consensual. And that's really the crux of the issue. It is a kind of he said, she said, back and forth situation. And I can understand why Ring of Honor does not want to take that chance and does not want to be associated with him. So when that first started, they, said you're not going to be on TV anymore. They took the book, the quote unquote book, away from him. He was no longer the booker. Delirious went back to being the booker. And then some months later, they removed him from the website. And now this week, they officially announced that they've released him from his contract, or I guess his contract ran out. They did not renew. Either way, they have come to terms with the release of Marty Scurll. Ness, just your thoughts, I guess, overall on the situation and I guess the speaking out.
We have our ages of consent. It definitely isn't 16. So, yeah, but again, it's something. It's hard to talk about it because it's 16 there. It's legal. Like what can we really say? What can we do? We might not agree with it, but that's a different, that's a different life over there. We really can't try to compare. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's just one aspect of this whole broad situation. Then it goes from, was it consensual and it wasn't consensual? And that's another layer that we have to deal with as well. So I understand Ring of Honor's stance on this. Unfortunately, they had to do what they had to do, and it sucks that it had to be Marty Scurll that's on the receiving end of all of this, but they've already dealt with enough of the speaking out movement on their own, just as the company as a whole, and then just their own situations going on with them, with firing injured talent, because they were speaking out against the company, and that's a whole other situation. But at the end of the day, I feel that they just really had to protect themselves as an asset. It's always going to be employees versus the company, and at the end of the day, employees are replaceable. Talent is replaceable. The company itself is going to look out for itself. That's just business. That's just corporate America at the end of the day. So I hope the situation definitely gets taken care of. The truth comes out, and I hope that Marty gets his name cleared. But I don't want to jump the gun and make any assumptions, because situations like this, when you just go into it blindly and you point fingers and you just already want to be the judge and the jury, and at the end of the day you don't have all the information, and then the person really can be innocent at the end of the day. It could possibly been consensual, and now that the information's out and it's been a big thing and it's blown up, that takes a toll on the victims as well. So maybe that was a situation that, it would have been, it could have been consensual, but people getting in the individual's ear and telling them how they should handle it and things of that nature. But like I said, at the end of the day, I hope that, everything gets taken care of. And they're pretty much right. They already written him off. Like, they won't even mention Marty Scurll. They won't mention Villain Enterprises, nothing that has to do with him at all. So, we already picked up on that a couple weeks ago when we first really started, recording for Review of Honor. And it was just a head scratcher at the time. But, at this point, we understand why. So, like I said, I just hope everything, it works out for both parties at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's a great way to kind of transition into our matches for the evening. But right before we do, guys, remember to hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We want to be, as we're talking about all of the speaking out movement and what happened with Marty, we are a community, and we grow through you guys who are listening and watching, sharing us with your friends, your family, fellow wrestling fans who may not have heard of us. And that's how we grow, and we love to have more of you as part of our True Heel family just around the world. And so we appreciate everything you guys do. But speaking about how Ring of Honor does not want to talk about Villain Enterprises or bring up Villain Enterprises, our first match of the night is Flip Gordon up against Bandito. And this is a really good match. This is incredibly athletic. Yeah. I was pulling up the match times just before we got started here for Review of Honor, and I'm looking at the time, and it says 9 minutes and 25 seconds. And I feel like the match was both longer and shorter at the same time because of how much they packed in and how, like, just the level of athleticism that these two guys bring to the ring. We had incredible levels of counters, but like we were saying, because of when this was filmed, Flip's coming out with a Villain Enterprises baseball jersey, and they're kind of having to I feel like they redid the commentary for this because they refused to talk about anything with Villain Enterprises, and that threw me for a second. But then, like we're saying, this level of athleticism just took over, and this was really good. There was levels of counters that you kind of weren't expecting. There was one-upsmanship and showmanship. There was Flip doing a number of kip-ups and flips basically to his name to avoid attacks from Bandito. This match kind of had a little bit of everything. They packed a lot into 9 minutes and 25 seconds. But while I was watching it, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I feel like Bandito's got to win this. But then I remembered at the time, Flip Gordon is your number one contender for the World Championship, and there's a reason why. After 9 minutes, 25 seconds, Flip Gordon does put away Bandito, continuing his winning streak. And I think this match is part of the reason why he was able to lobby for that pure title shot when he did come back. So, Ness, what were your thoughts about this match?
I just want to piggyback off of the whole, you said they packed everything into the match and it felt long, but it felt short. I think they did have, I would have definitely liked more time. So that's where it was kind of short aspect of it is coming from for me. But 9 minutes, pretty much close to 10 minutes, that's like an average time match for a Ring of Honor, weekly episodes, 2 matches. They got to space out with the matches, the commercials, the segments. So that's a decent amount of time. These guys went from the start of the bell to the end of the bell, nonstop action. It was amazing. They're both great athletes in their own right. I'm a huge fan of Bandito, also a fan of Flip Gordon. So yeah, him getting the win, being the number one contender for the ROH World Title at the time, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense as to why he was given the shot at the pure title. And now that knowing this information, I like the fact that they actually brought that over from before the pandemic hit, and them taking the break and then bringing it back. Long-term booking, if you want to call it, short-term, whatever you want to, not knowing kind of booking going on there, where everything was going to go after they had to shut down for the little bit of time that they did. But yeah, man, this I really wish they would have shown this match. a lot earlier than what he did. I mean, it's pretty good to start the year off right with this, because this was definitely a great match. And like I said, I wanted to see more. I wouldn't mind seeing these two guys go at it again. And man, they just definitely put on a hell of a show. And this was something that the fans, if fans were there, that definitely would have gave this match that extra level, that extra gear of intensity, because just watching it with no fans, I was on the edge of my seat. And I know that if there was an audience there, they all would have been ranting and raving over this match just the way I was.
Yeah. Do you have a star rating for this one?
I give it a 3.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that's right around where I was feeling it too. Yeah, guys. After this, we have kind of a surprise of a match. Well, the outcome is a bit of a surprise. We have Jay Lethal, the franchise of Ring of Honor, the icon of Ring of Honor, so to speak, taking on Mark Haskins with Mark's wife, Vicky Haskins, as his manager. This was a pretty interesting match to me. They start off by Mark Haskins telling Jay Lethal, like he comes up to him in the ring and he's saying, hey, like I know this is your company. I know you're the man around these parts, but it's my time now. This is my time. And Jay Lethal says, all right, well, show me. Yeah. And over 8 minutes and 44 seconds, that's exactly what Mark Haskins proceeds to do, because Mark Haskins does something that is incredibly rare in Ring of Honor. Not only does he defeat Jay Lethal, he made Jay Lethal tap out. And that's something that is incredibly rare. Just when you think about not even just who Jay Lethal is supposed to be, but as a member of the Foundation, you would think that a Foundation, like tapping out, that's incredible. That's you would hope that Jonathan Gresham is teaching everybody how to not tap out, how to get out of any hold. And Jay Lethal, with his history of just in-ring knowledge and experience, that he would be able to pull that off himself. But that is just a testament to how good Mark Haskins is. And I wonder if I'm assuming that they did not tape only 2 matches. They had to have taped more. So I'm wondering if this means just maybe Mark Haskins is going to be coming back to Ring of Honor. Will he be involved in this next series of tapings? And this is a way to kind of whet our appetite to see what can be coming down the road. Will we see Mark Haskins returning? I'm not sure. It would be kind of interesting. I would be looking forward to seeing Mark Haskins, just because he brings something different to the table when it comes to his in-ring style, his presence. He has a manager. Managers always change things. They always make things a little bit more interesting. They talked about that on commentary. Riccaboni and Coleman brought that up, where they went to the outside and Vicky was like, I'm not going to get involved. But as Riccaboni points out, you have a manager there. There's always some element like that automatically throws Jay Lethal off his game, because just because she says she's not going to get involved doesn't mean you can't keep an eye out for her. And that's just throwing off what you're paying attention to when it comes to Haskins. So all of that combined, I thought this was a pretty good match overall. I thought the ending was incredibly surprising for what was supposed to happen. And I gave this one, it kind of suffered to me because it had to follow the Bandito flip match. But I gave this one about 2 3/4, right around there. I mean, Flip's doing kip-ups like it's nobody's business. Flip's doing kip-ups like we would get out of bed if we were much younger and it didn't hurt when we got out of bed. Like that's how Flip's doing kip-ups. So I can't put this on that level. This was maybe about 2 3/4 to me. Ness, what were your thoughts there?
I like 2 3/4. That seems fair for this match. Man, I want to see Mark Haskins in the pure division. I didn't know that's what I needed in my life. And the way that he was going in this match, like he pretty much dominated Jay Lethal. That's not an easy task. And not a lot of people can say that they like really took it to Jay Lethal and really had him on the defensive so much that, he ended up having to tap out. And it was just like, from the start of the match, he said, look, Jay, I know this is your company. It says my time. And he literally went out there and showed Jay Lethal, because Jay Lethal said, hey, show me. And that's exactly what Mark Haskins did. Like, man, just the fast-paced action, and not even just the fast-paced action. Like, he was using submissions, just striking and brawling, and just from the inside of the ring to the outside and all over. It was just like he really went out there to show Jay Lethal that he can be on par with him, or even as he picked up the win, he can go above Jay Lethal. So kudos to Mark Haskins, man. They also alluded to the fact that at the time he was in line for an ROH title shot against Roosh. So I'm hoping that that's another thing that carries over whenever he comes back. I would love to see that Mark Haskins that we've seen in this match versus Roosh, because that can be a stellar main event on anybody's card. So I'm just waiting, man. I hope that they are bringing him back soon, because that was a phenomenal performance. And no slight to Jay Lethal either. I don't, want anybody to think that, he just showed up and then it was just bad, but it was just a great showing for Mark Haskins, because I didn't expect that. Like you said, you don't beat Jay Lethal. Beating Jay Lethal one isn't easy, and then making Jay Lethal tap out, like, wow, that is extremely rare. And like, as we've seen in like the Pure Title tournament, you got to like really step it up to beat Jay Lethal, and that's exactly what happened. So kudos to Mark Haskins, man. I just can't wait to see him come back and to continue this run.
Yeah, I think they weren't sure what exactly was going to happen with the pandemic, but they knew the people who were in line for title shots, so they wanted to get them good wins. And Mark Haskins getting a win over Jay Lethal when Roosh is champion, that's strong. That definitely keeps him in title contention. And Flip Gordon beating Bandito also keeps him in title contention, and that's how they're able to, I guess, they really didn't know what exactly was. Well, none of us really knew, right? None of us knew how this was gonna shake out. But guys, after this, Quinn McKay just kind of briefly went over all the safeguards and safety things that Ring of Honor did when it came to the tapings that they had. And the only reason why I bring that up is because I really appreciated the level of transparency that they gave us and showed us that this is what they're doing and how they're doing it. I don't know what exactly their next what we're gonna get next week. I'm assuming it's gonna be more of these taped matches from before the pandemic, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next, because Final Battle gave us some answers, but it also raised a lot of questions when it comes to LFI and when it comes to the foundation. And we're now seeing Jay Lethal take a loss. How if they're now showing us these matches, that means the outcomes of these matches are going to play into what we see down the road. And there isn't a huge level of I would say there's not, like, as much as there is a large connection to the luchador style within the ROH version of Los Ingobernables with La Facción Ingobernal. I don't necessarily, like, Kenny King is not really a luchador. So having is there going to be something the main thing I took away from this was, why are they showing me this less than a month after they showed me Foundation staring down LFI? There's got to be something there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this kind of shakes out, and looking forward to all of that. But I will be doing that side by side with my tag team partner here, Ness. Ness, tell the fine people where they can find you, sir.
You guys can find me on Instagram at skinny_Kravitz. I'm sorry, skinny__Kravitz. You can find me on Twitter as skinny_Kravitz. And you can find me right here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. Clearly, you can see me on Review of Honor with my man StatKing, the man of 1,004 numbers. You can also catch me on Blunt Impact and Joints and Jabronis with my man Chris G. We form the Pot Heels. And you can also listen to my illustrious voice on True Toxicity with a gang of people. I'm not going to run everybody down. And if you see me on the I pop up on the round tables. I'm the round table rebel. I'm just everywhere on everybody's shows.
Yeah, doing big things. Doing big things as we move through 2021, Ness.
Bump the budget, SP3. Bump the budget.
And guys, you can catch me on our Facebook group getting into arguments with you guys that I'm not sure why I'm doing it, but somebody's got it. Somebody's got to make sure we provide that content for you guys, even on the Facebook group. There's some hilarious discussions that always happen. But you can also catch me covering almost everything that happens on Tuesdays with AEW Dark, NWA, and the UWN, the United Wrestling Network, on Dark Power. And of course, you can catch me here with Ness covering everything that happens in a Ring of Honor ring. Thank you guys once again for checking us out. And remember, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. We appreciate it all the time. And until next time, guys, peace.